I never thought I would ever be telling this story on camera, and honestly, if you had asked me a few months back whether I could spend 2 days lost in the forest, completely soaked, without food, without a working phone, avoiding elephants and snakes, and somehow come out alive, I would have laughed and said, no way, that's just movie stuff. But it actually happened to me, and I want to tell it as honestly as I can because maybe someone watching this video will remember something from my experience if they ever find themselves in a similar situation. And also because I just need to get out, because even though I'm safe now, the memory is still very fresh and very intense. So let me start from the beginning. I work in Bangalore, in IT, like so many people here. My life is usually predictable. Weekdays are coding, meetings, debugging, sometimes late nights with pizza deliveries, weekends usually Netflix, sometimes meeting friends for biryani or cricket. But one of my colleagues and close friends, Arjun, he's always trying to drag me outdoors. He's more adventurous than me. He says, man, we're wasting our weekends in malls. We should go hiking, camping, see waterfalls, forests. And I usually resist because honestly I'm not the kind of guy who enjoys sweating and bugs and mud. But that weekend, I don't know why, I said yes. Maybe because work had been particularly stressful, maybe because I wanted a break from the city noise, maybe because he just looked too excited when he showed me pictures of this trail he wanted us to try. The place he picked was not that far from Bangalore, maybe a few hours' drive, in the Western Ghats region, where the forests are thick, green, beautiful, but also wild. He said it would just be a weekend thing. Leave early Saturday, hike to a spot near a stream, camp overnight, come back Sunday. He promised me it wouldn't be too hard. I didn't really prepare. I had basic trekking shoes, a backpack, some snacks, a rain jacket, and of course my phone. I thought that would be enough. We started early Saturday morning, drove out of the city, and by the time we reached the trailhead it was already hot and humid, even though it was still morning. The forest, there's something else. I had been in Cubbon Park and Lalbagh, of course, but this was different. The trees are massive, the air smells like wet earth and plants, and there's a constant sound of insects and birds. It felt almost like stepping into another world, very far away from traffic and concrete. We began hiking, and at first it was actually fun. Arjun kept pointing out plants, birds, even elephant dung on the trail. He was so enthusiastic. I was sweating buckets, but I thought, okay, this is manageable. The path was narrow, sometimes muddy, and we had to cross small streams. We stopped often to drink water and eat the snacks we carried. I kept taking photos with my phone. Looking back, that feels almost surreal, because later that same phone would become just a dead piece of plastic in my pocket. Around afternoon, clouds started gathering. The forest became darker, and there was this smell in the air that told us rain was coming. Arjun said we should pick up pace because he wanted us to reach a campsite he had in mind near a stream. But the rain came faster than we expected. One moment it was just a drizzle, the next it was a full tropical downpour. The kind where you can't hear anything except the pounding of water on leaves. Within minutes we were both soaked. My rain jacket helped for maybe 5 minutes, but then it was useless. The trail became slippery, mud everywhere, water rushing down. We tried to keep moving, but visibility was poor, and in that chaos, somehow we lost each other. I don't even remember the exact moment it happened. 1 second Arjun was a few steps ahead, shouting something. The next second, I couldn't see him anymore. The rain was too loud, the trees too dense. I called his name, tried to run forward, but I slipped, fell into mud, and when I got back up, I couldn't tell where the trail was. Everything looked the same, green and brown, and wet. I kept shouting his name, but there was no answer. My heart started racing. I tried pulling out my phone to call him, but by then the phone had already gotten too wet. I tried powering it off and on, but the screen flickered and died. Completely useless. That's when panic hit me. I was alone in the middle of this forest, rain pouring like crazy, phone dead, no idea where my friend was, no idea which way was back. And I had no survival skills, nothing. I'm a guy who codes for a living. My biggest physical challenge before this had been waiting in line at the cafeteria. So yeah, I was terrified. I remembered hearing somewhere that if you're lost in the forest, you should try to follow water downstream, because usually streams lead to rivers and rivers lead to people. So that's what I decided to do. It wasn't like I had better ideas. I found a small stream near me, swollen from rain, and I just started walking alongside it, heading downward. My shoes were already squelching with water, my clothes clinging to my skin, and mosquitoes and leeches were everywhere. Every few steps I'd check around nervously because I knew elephants were common in that area, and I had also read about snakes. Honestly, every sound in the undergrowth made me jump. That first night was the worst of my life. I didn't have a tent, because Arjun had been carrying it. I didn't even have proper food, just a few soggy biscuits left in my bag. It was still raining, though lighter, and I couldn't find a dry place to sit. I huddled under a tree, shaking from cold and fear, trying not to imagine tusks emerging from the dark or a cobra slithering near my feet. The forest at night is so loud. Crickets, frogs, strange calls from birds, occasional snapping of branches. I didn't sleep at all. I just sat there, miserable, hungry, exhausted, waiting for morning. When daylight finally came, I felt a little braver. I told myself, just keep moving. Keep following the stream. Maybe you'll find a village or a road. I forced myself to eat the last of the biscuits even though they were wet and tasted horrible. My stomach was growling, but I had no choice. The second day was a blur of walking, slipping, climbing over rocks, getting scratched by thorns. Sometimes the forest opened into beautiful clearings, with butterflies everywhere, and I would almost forget I was lost. But then reality hit again. I was tired, thirsty, and my body was starting to ache. Water I had plenty because the stream was always nearby. I wasn't sure if it was safe to drink, but I was so thirsty, I just cupped my hands and drank directly. It tasted earthy, but it kept me going. Food, though, I had none. I thought about trying to find fruits or something, but honestly I didn't know what was safe and what could poison me. So I just stuck to water. Several times I heard elephants in the distance. You can't mistake that sound, branches snapping, low rumbles. Once I even saw a huge dark shape moving between the trees, maybe 50 meters away. My heart nearly stopped. I crouched down, staying as still as possible, praying it wouldn't notice me. It eventually moved away. Snakes I didn't see clearly, but I did hear rustling in the grass that could easily have been one. Every step felt like it could be my last if I made the wrong move. That second night was even worse than the first, because by then I was exhausted and my hope was fading. I sat on a rock near the stream, shivering, stomach cramping from hunger, wondering if anyone was even looking for me. I thought of my parents back in Bangalore, my office, my friends. I thought of Arjun. Was he safe? Was he also lost? I kept imagining headlines, tech worker missing in Ghats. It made me almost cry, but I didn't want to waste energy. Sometime during that night, I promised myself if I got out of this alive, I would never take life for granted again. I would prepare better, respect nature more, and also tell the story so others don't make the same mistakes. I guess that promise kept me going. On the morning of the third day, I woke up stiff and numb, but then I heard something different. Not just birds and insects, but human voices. At first I thought I was imagining it, but then I heard it again, men shouting in Kannada. I stood up, tried to yell back, my voice cracked, but I shouted anyway. After a while, I saw them, 2 forest guards in uniforms carrying sticks. I have never felt such relief in my entire life. When they reached me, I could barely talk. I just kept saying thank you, thank you. They gave me water from their bottle. Even though I already had water, theirs tasted so much better somehow. Then they guided me back to a forest post where I could finally sit, eat, and just breathe. Later I learned that Arjun had managed to find his way to a nearby village the day before, and he had reported me missing. That's why the forest guards were searching. He was safe, thank God. When we reunited, he hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. He kept apologizing, but I told him it wasn't his fault. We just underestimated the forest and the weather. Looking back now, I realize how unprepared I was. I had no backup plan, no waterproofing for my phone, no survival kit, not even enough food. I trusted that my friend knew the way, and that things would be simple. That was naive. Nature doesn't care about your weekend plans. When the rain comes, when the forest closes in, you are just another vulnerable creature. So yeah, that's my story. 2 nights lost in the forest, soaked, hungry, scared, but somehow alive. I'm grateful to the forest guards, grateful to be back home, grateful to have another chance to live more carefully. And if anyone watching this ever plans to go trekking, please prepare properly. Carry waterproof bags, carry extra food, let people know your route, and respect the wild. Because trust me, when you're alone out there, nothing else matters except survival. And that's it. That's how a Bangalore IT guy who barely leaves his computer ended up having the scariest adventure of his life. I still can't believe it happened, but it did. And I'm here to tell it. Thank you for listening.